Hi everyone, we are live. This is Arsenal Fan Circle Season 2, Episode 27. And the isolation goes on, folks. Want to do introductions first. First of all, if you're new around here, hit the subscriber button, hit that like button, help the channel grow. Introductions. As always, Mahir, Gunded News. Check out Mahir. He's got his own YouTube channel. How we doing, Mahir?
Doing all good. Just it's a little bit mad being inside
Yeah,
all the time.
with the lockdown continues in South Africa.
Yeah, might extend a further 2 weeks after 2 weeks.
Right. Stan, the man, is in the house. Thanks for joining us, Stan.
Hi, thanks for inviting me on. Hope everybody's well.
Stan is taking the challenge of the anagrams a little bit later. You saw it last week, but now you get to witness the extreme pressure that it brings. So has everyone got a pen and paper as well for later in the segment? We'll be ready. All right. And Rohan, thanks for joining us once again, Rohan. And he drops out just like that, but he'll be right back. So we'll introduce Rohan when he gets in, and I think we're expecting Tony, the defending champion, as well, unless he's feeling the pressure to join us. But I'm sure he will. All right, so Rohan's back. Hi, Rohan.
Yeah, hi. I'm sure you must have been doing my introduction, and I just couldn't hear anything all of a sudden after you said Stan is taking the anagram challenge. This was like probably me saying I need to get out of here soon.
So welcome back, Rohan. And shout out to Choat, all the way from Singapore. Am I right in saying that? Rohan? Yeah. 2 a.m. Yes. Singapore. So big up to you, Choat. All right, first topic up for discussion, and we'll throw it open to whoever wants to start us off. How should the club pay the wages of the staff? Who wants to kick us off there? How should the Arsenal pay their staff? So we've heard Liverpool has come really under a lot of pressure for picking up the government's tab here to pay their staff. And we know Tottenham have done the same thing. Do you think Arsenal will ever do that, or are we kind of set now?
Well, we've done some things already. We've made some steps. I was reading that there's been already a financial donation of, I think it's £100,000, and they've also laid on cars to take key workers to and from their jobs as well. But what I would like to see happen is, yes, I would like to see the clubs and the players do something to support the non-playing staff in the clubs, but rather than see it be something that is imposed by the government, I would just like to see it happening off of its own back.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have seen it happen a lot faster than it already has. Now, you're talking about morals, so you're talking about individuals, but I mean, if you're a club captain or a key player in a club and you make a decision to go and make some kind of a donation, or say to the club, I'm willing to take a certain amount of percentage cut for my salary, then maybe other players would then naturally follow suit. So we've seen Eddie Howe make the move at Bournemouth, and he's the manager. And I'd like to see now that players will follow suit, and obviously the chairman as well, who also would, has money.
Yeah, Stan, I often think in times of crisis, that's when you see real leadership. When things are going bad, you see it on the football pitch. When things are going bad, you see the measure of a captain. We've seen that down through the years. We're going to talk about the All-Stars. Tony Adams, he wouldn't have shirked his responsibilities when things were going badly. But William Gallas certainly did. Players such as that, bad captains. So take that into like the leadership of each club, and it comes from the top, doesn't it, Stan?
Yeah, and I'd just like to add as well, what I don't like to see is similar to the Tottenham situation, where you put people on furlough and then you try to exploit the loophole of the taxpayer payouts. if you're gonna do something, then you should make that move, and rather than use the taxpayer money, use your own resources. Because I just think that there are other people out there that are probably going to be going without, whether they're self-employed or contractual workers, that are going to need access to that sort of crisis fund a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, Rohan, what do you think about the situation at hand?
I agree with what Stan has said. It should either, at one point it has to come from the players themselves. These players make, most of them make 6-figure a week salaries, which is considered to be a great salary if you make 6 figures a year. So, I think they should come out themselves and say that they're going to take a pay cut, and that's how they should pay the non-playing staff within the club. And the Premier League themselves, what they should do probably is now have a wage cap sort of a system within the Premier League, like how they have it within the NBA, right? There's a wage cap. You can't pay over that. So maybe average it out with the players, and whoever is earning above the average, they all drop down to the average, and you use that money to pay the non-paying staff, right? Like, an Ozil earning £350,000 a week. Let's say the average Premier League footballer earns £80,000 a week. You drop that down, then that's 200 odd thousand pounds just there. So that's how we should approach it, I think, because asking the clubs or the owners of the club to put in money. Of course, Daniel Levy is a prick, and we all know that, right? But I have a fundamental question right now that if owners are not allowed to invest their own money to buy players, should they be asked to invest their own money to bail them out now and pay the non-playing stuff? I think there should be a parity everywhere, right?
Yeah, there definitely should be some kind of enforcement into it. And I was thinking about this earlier, Mahir, as such as Rohan has mentioned. You got Ozil right down to probably the lowest earner, Saka, or maybe a Martinelli, or even a Guendouzi. And there should be a sliding scale. So Ozil gets weighted a little bit heavier. All of the higher earners get a little bit heavier hit. And as Rohan said, 100,000 is a very, very good wage for 1 year. These players are getting it for 52 weeks. every week, 52 times that. Mahir, what do you think?
Look, I agree with you guys 100 million %. I don't feel that it's right to find a loophole to try and exploit money that is actually needed for essential workers, healthcare workers, and stuff, or even to pay to pay non-playing staff of their staff. I am not surprised that Tottenham is one of those clubs that have asked for financial help. They once again absolute hammer rolls. How do you want to try and exploit this? Once again, proving that they're absolute hand rolls. Another thing that we can add to the thing is to ask for government help to bail them out of the situation. Players should right now be taking pay cuts and trying to help the overall picture, because as Stan and Ron have said, if you can get all these players to a average salary, so say it's about 80,000, 70,000.
The average.
They are still,
I heard a stat just the other day that the average wage of a Premier League footballer, the average wage is £64,000 a week.
Exactly, and that's not peanuts, right?
No. Do you know what? Most normal people are lucky if they can see never mind 6 figures, 5 figures. Some people, even here in like South Africa, if you were to take the average on what a family earns, a poor family, right? If you're earning above 10,000 Rand, you're considered in the top 1% of South Africa, of the country, right? 1%. that's the reach, right?
Yeah.
So the rest of the people, say for instance, somebody staying in a village, it's a family of 10 staying in a hut that can only occupy 5 people. So 10 people are staying in there, and the breadwinner is earning 1,000 rand. So can you imagine? There's levels to this. Exactly, there's
Yeah.
levels to this. So
Yeah.
I feel like footballers should be doing this out of their own brain. They should be using their
Yeah.
head right now, saying,
Yeah. There should
you
be.
know
There
what?
should be
In order for
no.
football to survive, so say for instance, Arsenal, with Arsenal, the highest paid players, maybe you'll be able to get 10 million. Maybe you'll be able to get even half of that. Maybe you'll be able to get 3 million, all for the wages per week.
Yeah.
Then you go to all the other clubs. Don't you think football will be able to survive if they are able to implement such a thing out of their own goodwill, out of the goodness of their hearts, not have
You
to
see,
be forced?
the thing is for me, I mean, Tottenham, we've seen what Tottenham have done, and I understand that Liverpool have now gone and done a similar thing. They've made a similar approach as well. And I just pray to God that, you know, we're not sat here next week ashen-faced because Arsenal do the same thing as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Oh my goodness.
it's early days yet with all of this. We've seen 2 clubs do it, and Liverpool done it after looking at, they must have seen what people were saying on social media about Tottenham, right? You know, I posted it on my Facebook page, and I had friends of mine that were Tottenham supporters that's used words like, yeah, it's despicable and I'm ashamed. And I just really pray that I'm not going to be sat here next week with you guys feeling the same way. And I hope that you know, Arsenal have got enough sense about themselves to not dig themselves into such a PR disaster, but also more realistically that they do the right thing and look after everybody at the club, because we've got an owner that's not short of a few quid, and the average wage in the UK is somewhere between, I believe, 25,000 to 30,000 pounds a week. So, you know, the club should be able to continue to pay people as if business is still going on, I think.
Yeah. This is another reason why, right? Like Liverpool, they have been minting money in the last few years, right? Their valuation has gone up, and then they do this. This is another reason why they shouldn't be given the Premier League. You know, like this is absolutely unacceptable what they've done. And if Arsenal do it, we'll have to come back and we'll have to, you know, criticize Stan Kroenke with the same vigor, because this money should be used for people who are on the streets, for you know, people who are helpless, for the NHS workers, for everyone else who's the supporting staff, and not for, you know, people who work in football, right?
Yeah.
No, you make a good point there, Rohan. We have to talk about this right now as if Arsenal could be one of those clubs. We know what the Cronkies are capable of at this point in time, but they also must know what the Liverpool owners, what kind of flack they're getting as well. Not here, you know. They're hearing about it now, and Liverpool are actually getting criticized left, right, and center. And they might actually, the owners might actually walk it back. So we have to be careful as well about what we do. You know,
It's so classless though. Like, yeah, how does it not make, you know, sometimes I think to myself, how do we live in a world, right, where people can't use their heads? Chaha Chola, our good friend here is saying the players make a ton of money from endorsements also. Exactly my point.
Exactly.
The money is great. Like, people don't often see 5 figures a year. There are a lot of people struggling.
Yeah.
And then you want to take away that money. So surely there's a better way for football to survive. Like
I
just
really
mentioned.
thought that Liverpool had more class than this.
yeah.
Seriously, even me.
Seriously, I agree with you.
And I'm sure that these footballers must know, you know, creative accountants who can do it in such a way that the money is pooled under the name of a temporary company, which would then be like a charitable donation, and probably get a lot of it written off. And other ways that you could be creative, for example, I'll just throw this one out there. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Aubameyang has a goal bonus of £45,000 every goal in his contract. You could be creative and say, you know what, I'm going to donate my goal bonus for the season towards the non-furlough staff. You know, players get assists bonuses for assists. Defenders and goalkeepers, they get bonuses for clean sheets. So you could be, there's creative ways that you could do these things. I mean, that's before we even look at salaries, right? These are just add-ons.
Yeah.
That you could say, okay, let's do this. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. These are sort of things that I would probably be suggesting to my teammates if I was changing room.
What we're talking about, Stan, is a certain amount of money that's going to help the staff that are less fortunate, that have been furloughed or laid off until further notice, until things get back up and going. We're talking about 2 or 3 months here, hopefully.
I mean, when football comes back, you know, how does Daniel Levy walk into, say, for example, the canteen, all the players are having sat lunch after training, and look at the people behind where the food is served, the people in the back in the kitchens who have probably been worried and they've seen at their clubs making this application and they're thinking, so what does this mean for me? Does this mean if the government says no, I'm going to be losing 20% of my salary? You know, I've still got to pay my full rent this month. You know, I still have my children this month. So how do you look at these people when it's all over and done and dusted, when they go back to work, and still have that family sort of feeling around the place, right?
Yeah. So what we're doing, Rohan, is we're trying to sound the call here for the club not to do this. Don't make the mistakes that Liverpool have made. Maybe the Liverpool are going to walk those things back, but they've made the decision. They've told pretty much the people in that city what they think of their workers. You know, so it's bad PR up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's absolutely unacceptable.
I've also heard that the leagues, UEFA have told the leagues to hold off, and they're going to try to finish the campaign out and finish all of the leagues, whether it be July, whether it be August. And I think there's word that if next season needs to get pushed back a little bit, it will be pushed back a little bit. So that's the latest word.
Is it 70% that the Barcelona players have agreed to give up? Is it 70% of their salary?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And Spain has been one of the worst hit countries as well in this pandemic. But, you know, everybody's hurting in every country. And the owners of the EPL clubs should also think the same way. And, we want to continue to hold our club, hold the badge in, you know, high esteem. And we don't want to be talking next week about Arsenal having done this and having to criticize the club, because that's what we will be doing, I think, to a man.
Yeah.
That's what they do, you know, Stan?
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, that's pretty much all we can say about this topic, right? Any other things to add? I mean, we've had Jordan Henderson talk about it, but is it just PR himself from Liverpool?
Well, there is a lot of people there are some that they like to say the right things, but they don't actually, what they practice is a little bit different to what they preach. I mean, we all saw what happened with Jack Grealish, right? Day one, he's on social media telling everyone to stay home, wash their hands, you know. Yeah. Day two, he decides to go out for a drink with his mates and he crashes his car. And then, I don't know if you see the Carl Walker story that I was reading this morning in bed, right?
Yeah. Naughty Kyle Walker.
What a naughty little boy Carl Walker is, right? I mean, and he was the same. He was the day before he had his party that he was telling people to stay home. So
what did he do, Stan? Kyle Walker?
I'll put it as discreetly as I can. So he was on social media the one day telling everyone to social distance, basically. And then the following day, on a Tuesday evening, him and his mate, so he's obviously got his mate round there, decided to call a very high-class escort agency and have a delivery of 2 of their finest delivered to the door. And so one of the ladies of the night took a lot of pictures, so it couldn't be denied. So Carl Walker had to come out and publicly apologise for having a party. I was reading it this morning as I woke up in bed. It was quite amusing.
Yeah.
Hella
I'm
amusing.
not going to
I
say
get
anything else, but I mean, if you do your history, Carl Walker does have a history of being in places that he shouldn't be, and that's all I'm going to say.
the wrong places at the wrong times.
Nice. The big up to apparently Messi had a role to play to encourage players to give up part of their wages. And Danny's in the house. Danny,
All right, Danny.
thanks for joining us. We're going to be getting on to the next part, Danny. It's going to be the Arsenal all-time 11.
Yeah.
We're gonna debate this one out and see where we end up, what 11 we end up with. Okay.
So did we agree that we were going to do a traditional 4-4-2?
Yeah, it's a 4-4-2 formation.
Okay, and we're going to pick a manager and maybe some honourable mentions.
Yeah, sure.
Since Stan did suggest this segment, he gets to be. You get to set the rules a little bit.
Yeah, so as I said, it's going to be a traditional. He does. It's going to be a traditional 4-4-2. It's got an all-time 11 Arsenal team, and we're going to pick a captain and maybe some honourable mentions. And I'm interested to see how we all agree on this.
All right. So what are we going to start with, Stan?
We'll start with the goalkeeper.
All right. So who wants to start first? I'm being very democratic here. I'll start. You go, Stan.
And for me, it was quite easy. There was my first goalkeeper with Arsenal was the one that I remember was Pat Jennings, and I used to love Pat Jennings as a kid. Big, imposing fella with huge hands. And I always remember seeing a clip on TV, and I think it was black and white, of Pat Jennings scoring from a goal kick. And I think that he may have done it when he was playing for Tottenham, but I found that incredible. But the person that I'm going to go for is, all right, Tony.
Tony.
Better late than never.
All right, it's all good. He came in at the right time.
Just in time. Just in time. Controversial Tony in the house.
So I'm going to go for. We're just doing our best 11 time.
Don't take Manninger or one of these goalkeepers. Stuart Taylor. Don't take Stuart Taylor.
So I'm going for David Seaman.
Okay, I'm definitely going to second that one. David Seaman. Then I thought about Jens Lehmann, but Seaman saved us so many points. In the 1990-91 season, we conceded only 18 goals all season. And sure, he had a couple of good defenders ahead of him. We're going to talk about those probably as well. But he was a big part in we almost went invincible that year as well, Stan. So David Seaman, we only lost one goal and only conceded 18 goals. So for me, it's David Seaman.
And let us know in the chat box your picks as well. We got something different.
Yeah. Get involved in the chat box. Mahir, you get to choose. And it can be from your perspective.
I'm thirding that. I'm thirding that. I was informed that there's also another legend of ours as a keeper. Lehmann.
Yeah. Jens Lehmann. Crazy Jens, right? He used to
Yeah, exactly.
Did he used to trot on people's toes, or was that someone else did that to him, Stan?
No, I think it was somebody else. But
yeah, when it was like,
but he was our bitch, right?
I used to just love the way that, especially when it was a corner against us, and you've got like their opposition players in the box. You just could not stand next to Lenz. He hated it. He was constantly pushing people away. I just loved his shithousery.
Yeah. All right, so you're voting for Jens Mahir? All right, Tony, welcome to the show, Tony. Goalkeeper for your all-time 11.
Seaman. I like Lehmann better just because of shithousery and being crazy, but Seaman's a better goalkeeper.
And Stan, quickly tell that story about the accent, the David Seaman accent.
the first time I really heard him speak, right, and this is when I was used to go to Highbury before social media, and you didn't really hear football players speaking, and it just surprised me that I was sat sort of like maybe 6 rows behind the goal, and he stood there, and the opposition came charging towards the goal, and their striker took the shot, and it just whizzed past the post, and he just turned around to us with a big smile on his face, and just went in this really deep Yorkshire accent. Well, that were close, wasn't it? And I don't know why. It just shocked me because I just expected a London accent to come out of him.
Okay, Rohan.
So I when I've done the research, it's I think it's Seaman who comes out on top. But from my perspective, when I started watching Arsenal, and Lehman was the guy, right? And why for me his importance is even more is because till Leno, I don't think we actually could replace him. So it showed how important his position was for Arsenal. He basically went through the invincible season, imposing figure. One thing against him, from my perspective, is that he got sent off in the Champions League final. Which is one thing against him. And from Seaman's perspective, what I remember the most about him actually is unfortunately the Ronaldinho kick against him in the World Cup, which was for England. So and I haven't seen that much of him at Arsenal. So for me, it would be Lehman, just because that's whom I've seen more.
Yeah.
And then there was the Naeem one as well from the halfway line.
The old joke about lobbing Seaman from the halfway line, Stan.
Yeah.
The crude joke. Lobbing Seaman from the halfway line. Okay, think about that, everyone. All right.
That's what I thought when I said the first thing. Like, Seaman always comes up on top, and I was like, what is going to be made out of this?
Okay, Rohan, you get to start us off on the right back, and we'll go counterclockwise.
Okay. Can I start with left back then? I'd like to go with left back, and from my perspective, I think this guy who's won a lot for us, Arsenal Academy graduate, again, a person that I had seen for a while, and then of course he sort of ruined his legacy, but for me it's Cashley Cole, right? He's my left back.
Yep. Stan?
Looking at the fullbacks, have you ever noticed that Arsenal, we've always seemed to have better players on the left as left backs rather than on the right. We've never had it equal. A lot of honourable mentions on the left back, but I'd have to agree with Rohan. If I was actually physically building a team with the players that we've had in that position, then he's probably the best one, right? I mean, there was a period where people were saying that he was probably the best left back in the world at one point. Yeah. Right, so I'd agree with Rohan, Ashley Cole.
Not here.
I'm going with exactly the same thing. That's the only player I was actually thinking of. Unless you want me to say
Kolasinac.
Kolasinac. Best left back in the world. Very nice. No, I'm joking. Terrible. We expected a lot of things.
Listen, I'm going to agree with you as well. I think this could be a unanimous section. Ashley Cole, he is a legend. It was very, very heartbreaking how it all happened, that he left us, especially going to that walk down the road. Honorable mention, Saka. In time, he could be one of those. Monreal, a great servant down the years. Winterburn. Monreal, always consistent. Winterburn, always consistent. And
Sammy Nelson.
Anyone else? When I was starting to watch the Arsenal, there was
Sammy Nelson.
Nasri.
Sammy
Nelson.
Sammy Nelson. Who was that player that Winterburn took over from in left back. He was coming to the end of his career.
Sammy Nelson.
Was it
Okay.
Kenny Sanson?
Sorry, Kenny Sampson. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kenny Sampson.
Yeah.
Sammy Nelson.
Hey, where did he start in anagrams?
And we'll do that later. I think Stan could be the early. I'm gonna run the buck on the anagrams later. Stan could be a strong favorite. I think Tony's studying up already. The defending champion down there, Tony. All right, Tony. Ashley Cole
Everyone went for Cole.
Ashley Cole for me.
Tony gets the vote as well.
Ashley Cole.
Okay, that's unanimous. Ashley Cole. But honorable mentions there. Definitely Monreal if he's a club servant. Tony, since you're the last one to pick, you get to start us off right back.
Dixon.
Yeah. Any honorable mentions for you? Other players up and down the years?
Not recently.
Right. Rohan.
I think it's Lee Dixon for me as well. But an honorable mention, I think, to Lauren. Again, part of the invincible side. He had a lot of energy and
Converted winger as well.
Yeah. But like Stan said, there weren't as many on the right side for some reason as on the left. So I think Lee Dixon is an easy choice there, and Lehman would be Lauren would be my second pick there.
Honorable mention.
All of your heads are in the game. That's for later. The anagram game.
Yeah.
All like the pressure's going to be intense here. Another shout out for me is I picked out Saka as maybe a left back for the future, and Lauren was a converted winger, so maybe the same could happen with Saka.
I would like for that person to be Tierney on the left.
All right, Stan, the right back.
I'm torn between three of them. There's three of them that I've liked over the years. Obviously, Lee Dixon. I was a big fan of Bakary Sagna as well. But the one, if I was physically putting this team together myself, I think for me, Lauren just edges it for me.
Yeah.
He just edges it because I liked his attitude.
Right. Well, I know what I'm going to vote. So, Mahir.
Going with Lee Dixon.
Lee Dixon, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Listen, I think Lee Dixon as well. He was a very, very good defender. He recently was on a podcast where he talked about how he was able to figure out his opposing player. So I think he was very, very good at man marking. He had the odd OG, but I'm not going to hold that against him. Some spectacular own goals.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions are Lauren, of course, and that's about it. Bellerin, I don't think he's quite hit those heights. He hasn't been as consistent over the years to be mentioned in the same breath, right? So it's going to be Lee Dixon as right back and Ashley Cole as left back.
I'm surprised Sagna didn't get much of a mention.
Yeah. No. So if you think of it, like I'd say that he was quite consistent. He wasn't a world beater, but he was always consistent in the back four, and these were times when our back four wasn't great. And in that, Sanya was a good one. In fact, I remember when we won the first FA Cup, the one against Hull, and everybody was like, there was a big song outside going on, and the trophy celebration was happening that we want you to stay, Bakary Sanya, we want you to stay. But then it was heartbreak at the end of it, right? So
when he was going to City then, right? But he did it in the right way. I mean, he announced he was going to go to City. He wasn't underhand or any of that stuff. All right, it looks like am I starting off next? This is an easy one. We may be unanimous here. Tony Adams. I think he walks into most all time, especially in the last 30, 40 years. So Tony Adams for me. And counterclockwise, Tony. Am I doing this?
Tony,
Adams as
the
well.
one and only Mr. Arsenal himself.
Adams, right? Rohan.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get a statue outside the Emirates for nothing, right?
Oh,
He's definitely. I mean, he's been a club legend, club captain, won the Premier League in 3 different decades. Uh, Arsenal through and through. So he's probably there in most all-time Premier League 11s. So he's got to be there
Never
in
mind
Arsenal's squad.
Arsenal 11s, Premier
I mean,
League 11.
there was games he was just masterful at positioning, being in control of his opposing player, being on the front foot, and Stan overcoming addictions as well. So got to give him a lot of props for that.
Not even overcoming the addictions, but also, I mean, he came into the team very young,
Yeah,
and he overcame a lot of, we all used to hear the Eeyore and the donkey shouts, right?
yeah.
He used to get a lot of stick,
Worked out for him in the early years. Yeah,
So yeah, and for me, yeah, there's no two ways about it. He gets into an Arsenal all-time 11 for me.
yeah. Quite easily for me. It's like he definitely gets one spot, and then you maybe have to think about the other spots. But
Yeah.
I think Mahir will probably come back very soon. But I think we can, without further ado, sort of put Adams into the lineup on the ticker tape at the bottom here.
Of course.
Mahir, you get your vote.
Yeah, no, before we even thought of anything, Tony was my first name. So even if you had gone clockwise, for example, and asked me next, there was only one person on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't going to shock anyone, right? But
now, I wasn't going to say.
You get to
Any
start off.
honorable mentions?
Yeah, you get to start off and picking his partner now.
His partner. I'm a bit, what you call it for names though? Maybe you guys can help me out.
Well, you got Steve Bold, you got David O'Leary, you got Sol Campbell, you got Colo Toure. Okay, Stan. Mahir, forfeit, go.
A difficult one, I think, but I think I'd go for Martin Keown. Probably for the same reason that I chose Lauren. I like his attitude, I like his commitment, and I think he'd be a good pairing with Tony Adams. But it's a hard one because I'm really close to saying Sol Campbell as well.
There's a hint down there in the comments as well. So Chahat is trying to give you a hint as well. So I hope you take it. Let's throw William Gallas in there too. Dishonorable mention, William Gallas.
But I think I'm going to stick with Martin Keown for me.
Nice one. Okay. Martin Keown was always a tenacious tackler. Definitely up for the fight. He never shirked anything, any kind of a confrontation. I'm gonna pick Sol Campbell to take their best player and actually go and win trophies with it. And it's a tough one, right? Because he did have a great career with Arsenal, but it kind of ended in a bad way with Sol Campbell, where he sort of left the stadium at halftime after having a shit show. But I think Sol Campbell was very good for us. Honorable mentions, of course, for me, David O'Leary, one of those Irish players that was always part of the Arsenal, was always up for it. Such an intelligent player, David O'Leary, as well. And I think he still holds the all-time record of appearances, right?
Yeah, was it 600?
I think it's like 700 and something.
700 something.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 627 or something.
David O'Leary has a lot of
long service.
But for me, Mahir, I picked Sol Campbell and Stan picked Martin Keown. So it's your choice next.
I would have to go with Sol Campbell. I mean, the feeling of stealing such a player from our rivals, and as far as we know, I mean, him being that essential piece in the puzzle,
Yeah,
priceless.
the final piece. I mean, we probably would have won things without him. We had Pascal Sigan and players like that who were playing to a decent level. Let's not forget that. But yeah, you go Saul Campbell, I go Saul Campbell, and Stan goes Martin Keown. Tony,
Sol Campbell for 3 in a row.
3 in a row. Okay. Honorable mentions. There's many of them there. Steve Bold, a great player in his day. Martin Keown and
Pat
David
Rice.
Pat Rice. I mean, how do people feel about Krushelny now? Is he kind of tainted? He did kind of taint his. All right, we'll move on. Go on. Won't even go there. Rohan.
No, so
I mean-
I also have to go with Sol Campbell again for the same reason. We stole him from a rival. The way it was done, nobody knew at the beginning for free. You know how it antagonized the Tottenham supporters, etc. Then he came in, won a load of trophies with us. So I think for me it's him. But again, Martin Keown definitely up there because in the first season, again, when I was like starting to support, and this was like one of the big matches then, the Battle of Old Trafford, where, he gives away the penalty and then he comes in and, he basically shoves Van Nistelrooy from the back. All of these, just put Martin Keown at another level. But for the team itself, I'd pick Sol Campbell. Other few honorable mentions that I have is, of course, like Steve Bold, again, being a legend for us, very, very successful defender. But then I think my mind as a young supporter is like a bit tainted by him being so silent on the touchline. And of course, that shouldn't play any part. But he was just a mute number 2 to Wenger, and did not help our defense. So I'm just that's tainted his memory a little bit for me.
Yeah, and for me, I think that was Arsene Wenger suppressing a lot of things with his staff. Alex Ferguson, as an example, I think he was very much more open to having that number 2 input. But yeah, and can I just I predicted all of these first 5. I just kudos to me. Okay.
Well, now that you've got the first 4 up, you've got to move Cole after Campbell, or else my ADHD is going to stare at that for the rest of the show.
Okay. We'll do that for you, Dad.
Thank you.
Don't worry, Ray. Right after I'm done creating that certificate for Liverpool, I create one for you as well.
Stan, it was not my idea to go from goalkeeper to left back.
No.
Yeah.
I call it audible.
An audible. Okay. I think
So
we may
Matt-
agree in the forward positions. We're going to agree. Does that
So
look
what?
better?
Okay, yeah. So what? Right wing next.
Yeah. Okay. Right wing, and Rohan, you get to kick us off. Right wing.
Right wing, I think there've been a fair few really good ones that we've had, and I think I'd go for maybe a Lumberg, Lumberg on the right wing for me, like the way he's played there. Again in our dominant era. For me, the wing play that we used to have at that time, and I think he'd probably do a good job there.
Yep. Stan.
I'd have to agree with Rohan. Freddie Lundberg. We've had a lot of good players that have played on the wings, but I always look. For me, it's always about end product, and you get goals from Freddie. You get tons of them from Freddie, and you get assists as well. So Freddie for me.
Any honorable mentions from both of you?
Ray Parlour.
Ray Power for sure. Hard-working midfielder. Fit into a 4-4-2 perfectly. But Lundberg played that role very, very well, and that was my choice as well. Freddie Lundberg, the way he would combine with Bergkamp and all of the other players, Henry, he was always in that position to finish the moves off. A very industrious player, and he even scored on his debut. Does anyone remember that? Who he scored against on his debut? Came on as substitute late in the game.
It wasn't Man United, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and
It was. Okay.
3-0 win over Man United, and sort of dinked the ball over the goalkeeper. So for me, Freddie Lundberg, he always had tons of goals in him. He would get into the teams quite regularly every season, and just a hard-working midfielder you needed. Every team needed. I hear you there.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you guys on that one. So, a second vote for the man himself, Freddie Lundberg.
Freddie Lundberg.
Yeah.
And the goals he scored as well. I mean, just thinking back to cup final goals against Chelsea. He always turned up in the FA Cup final. He scored a goal against Liverpool as well. So, Freddie Lundberg. Tony.
Yeah.
Little Bobby Perez for me. He might have to revoke his gym membership, but he's like get you 15 goals.
Yeah, he can be on the left hand side, but we're doing the right
Left
side. Who have you got on the right?
Yeah, he played on both.
If you want to make Robert Perez play on the right, we can do that.
I'm playing him on the right.
Okay, cool. Robert Perez for you. Okay. All right, cool. What position next? We'll go on the left side.
Centre.
All right, center. Tony, central midfield. I love the way Stan is in control of his section.
It's like my ADHD. I can't look at that thing on the screen unless it looks right to me. It just bugs me.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it irritates. I understand. Stan, I'm the same way. Like, even when I'm writing out something, I make sure it's neat in a specific way. If it's not, you can forget.
Freddie Lundberg's going in right there for you, Stan.
Freddie Lundberg.
All right, midfield, Tony.
In defensive midfield or central or?
Yeah, 4-4-2.
Yeah. One of your two midfielders.
Vieira.
Yeah. But you don't really need to explain your choice at all. It's Rohan.
Let's make it easy. Does anyone have a different option? No?
Is there any other option?
I'm pretty sure there will be for his partner in midfield. There will be.
Oh yeah, but I think Vieira's a full house, isn't it? Surely.
He's a shoe-in, right?
Yeah, full house.
Yeah.
All
Definitely.
right, so let's just put him down. He's in the team.
Gilberto for honorable mention.
Patrick Vieira.
Gilberto Silva.
It's his partner. It's going to be interesting, I think.
Contrary to many people's understanding, Vieira was not a Wenger signing. All right?
Yeah.
He was a recommended signing.
But what a signing he was.
But what a signing. A recommended signing from Arsene Wenger while he was still with what Grampus 8. Very good. Okay, Rohan. Unfortunately, you get to start off with Vieira's partner.
Vieira's partner. So many legends in the midfield for us, down the years, right from Liam Brady to to someone like, I'd say, even a Cesc Fabregas who's played there, Santi Cazorla,
Thomas
Gilberto, Petit, so many of them. But since it's a 4-4-2 and we've got to have some more, I'd feel a little more creative player alongside Vieira who could do the defensive job just by himself because he's a colossus. I would say that in terms of this 11, I'd pick Santi there.
Santi Cazorla, good shout. Good shout. And want to give a shout out to Stefan as well. Thanks for joining us. We have usually this podcast at this time, Stefan, on a Sunday. The Thursday nights are a little bit later. Stan, thanks for joining us, though, Stefan.
I'm going to go for basically the gentleman, which is the reason that I'm here. And when I say here, that means on this podcast talking about Arsenal in the first place.
He's not your dad, right?
Nah, he never played for Arsenal. But my dad took me to my first Arsenal match, and it was this player that stood out for me when I stood there. And I wasn't an Arsenal supporter. I wasn't a supporter of anyone. It was at Crystal Palace, Arsenal. They were playing Arsenal. And it was the number 7, Liam Brady, for me.
Wow.
He's the reason why I started supporting Arsenal in the first place. So I'd have to put him into my all-time 11 just because of that. And he was a great player as well. And exactly what Rohan said, if you're looking for some creativity and a little bit of steel as well, you know, Brady can do that. But there are so many.
He wasn't afraid to get stuck in.
No. But there are so many other honourable mentions. I mean, you know, the other one that I think of as well, just because he was such a great pairing next to Vieira, was Manuel Petit. And it showed up that when he left and went to other clubs, he wasn't half the player when he wasn't next to Petit, I thought. You know, I thought his best years was at Arsenal next to Patrick Vieira. So I'm going to stick with Leah Brady.
Yeah. Shout out to Stefan. Pat Jennings was a great goalkeeper. We talked about him earlier. Rosicky would definitely get an honourable mention in any conversation for the team. Liam Brady was class. How much would he be worth today? Stan, he went to Italy in the end, so he would be. Let's imagine he did quite well for Arsenal in this day and age, and now he's wanted by an Italian team.
Oh yeah, he'd be looking
at quite a amount of money, right?
Yeah, a lot.
80 plus.
Yeah.
But with our management of contracts, he'd probably be going for free.
The first match that I saw him playing as well, he was playing on the right wing.
Yeah, they had a lovely left foot as well.
I was watching from like the sideline, up the wing, and for the second half, he kept coming up and down past me on that side. So when I first saw him, I thought he was like a winger, and he was wearing a number 7 as well. But it must have just been for that game or something that they switched to or whatever.
Okay, I'm not quite Liam Brady era, but I'm glad that you, because I was like 500 pounds, 500,000, you know. So unfortunately, we lost him. A great player. But yeah, I had to think about players. I was thinking about Petit, honorable mention, Cesc Fabregas in the latter years, Santi Cazorla. But in the end, I did sort of look at the newsreel and old footage and go for Liam Brady. So we got three Liam Bradys up here on top. So yeah, he had that steel, he had that creativity. He was a player that Vieira could protect the back four, and Liam Brady could do a lot of damage. Imagine having Perez, Lundberg. Oh, I gave him away my
Are you shutting your hand?
Imagine having those players either side of Liam Brady. That's okay, because I'm starting off anyway, right? Did we go all the way around? Did you get the pick yet, Mahir? No, so we go to you, Mahir. Who's your partner for Vieira?
I'd have to go with Santi Cazorla. I mean, as far as I can remember, Pacey, the little magician, like, we loved everything about Santi. You know, it's a pity he couldn't continue doing what he does, you know, even by us. We would have loved, I would have loved for him to play a few more games, you know, come back to us, you know, gel a little bit with Torreira and just, you know, play a few games, maybe 5 or 6 in a row. And then honorable mentions, I'm going with Thomas Rosicky, the little Mozart. I'm going with Fabregas, and I'm going with I think that's about it. Maybe Manuel Petit as well.
Lundberg Camp mentioned Rosicky as well. He's definitely a great player.
Would anybody ask him, Barry, would anybody put Gilberto in there with Vieira, or do you see him more as a Vieira replacement or cover for Vieira? Because I always saw him more as cover or the replacement, not together.
Not together with him.
I think they could play. I think they're intelligent enough they could play together that way, but definitely wouldn't have any kind of extra creativity going forward. And
So
think
we're split now, right? There's two of us that have said Brady, two of us that have said Cazorla, which means Tony could even.
Rohan, did you pick Cazorla?
Cazorla, yeah.
So it's split. So Tony could either
Tony, you can decide.
Or he could go his own way and come up with something totally left field.
Surprise yourself.
And then the 7 people in the chats will have to cast the vote.
If it can't be decided.
No, but just think about the two-footedness of Cazorla, right? Taking the corner with his left and then Koscielny.
Think of that sweet left foot that Wayne Brady had.
And then Koscielny, tells him to take it with the other foot, and he just changes to the other foot. What would he give to have such a player right now who didn't take like a million years to pass the ball, but could pass it with either foot? That team would be devastating. And he's probably one of the most two-footed players that I've seen ever.
So Tony, no pressure, but your answer could determine on whether you do receive a Christmas card from me this year or not.
Let's see. So do I make it a tie and go with my favorite player, or do I go with a one?
No, you go with who would you have in there?
You put a name down before he came on the podcast, right?
Brady.
Who?
Brady.
All right, Brady it is. Brady it is. Nice.
I'm pleased about that one.
So Stefan said in the 1978 FA Cup final, Pat Jennings was a superstar, and Ipswich would have absolutely hammered Arsenal if it wasn't for him. All right, happy about that one. Tony, you get to start on left wing.
I'd have Bloomberg over there since I had Perez on the right.
You're a switch.
They both can play either side, so really that. But Bloomberg.
Yeah. All good. Rohan.
Yeah, I think it's going to be unanimous pretty much. At least that's what I think. It's going to be Perez for me here, and especially why I'd have him in the on the right left wing is because he could cut in, score goals. The chips or the dinks that he used to have over the keepers, and then that look of you knew that he was going to score it. That was just class. And since then, I think he lives in the Arsenal facility. I hope he's paying rent because he's there all the time, right? So. Legend. He was a legend. He's still a legend. And Robert Pires, and he's one of the guys who I've seen play not for Arsenal, but in a five-a-side when the Premier League were visiting India and they were showcasing matches there, and he was playing five-a-side with just regular chaps. And the way he was playing, he was just setting up balls for regular guys, and they would like absolutely screw it up. But it was great to watch.
Great choice for Perez. 500,000 was the max price set by the Italian league for foreign players. I did not know that. Interesting point. And Lombard Camp is trying to influence or put his word in. So that's fine. Bring your suggestions, people, in the comments. Dan.
I absolutely love Robert Pires, but he's not the one that I would pick. I love Robert Pires, I do, but there's one player for me that he just shades it, and it's because of the way he played. He was so direct, and that's Mark Overmars. I'm big Overmars fan. Big Overmars fan. I love Robert Pires. He'd be on my bench, but Mark Overmars so fast and so direct. He just got the ball and just ran towards the goal.
Yeah,
and scored.
Yeah. A little bit like a modern day Eden Hazard. We talked about we actually previewed the Mark Overmars. It was his birthday last week, so if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I'm going to echo Rohan. I already said it earlier in the podcast. So Perez, to get into the high teens most years of goals and combine with those other players. And he worked very, very well with Ashley Cole on the left-hand side. They had a great partnership. They almost knew telepathically where each other were. So Perez, honorable mentions, of course, Mark Overmars. Brian Marwood was one on the left wing for me. And did Anders Limpar play on the left?
Yeah.
So he was another one as well for me. So
I also could mention Alexis. In the Emirates era, one of the best players that we had. When Stan said direct, I was thinking he was going to say Alexis there for a second.
Me too. Me too. Alexis Sanchez in the modern day carried us a lot in it for a couple of seasons, Rohan.
In his prime, he was the best player in the league for a while, and he absolutely carried the team. And it's a shame how he left. Otherwise, if he were successful and if he was in the team, even though he wouldn't have a statue outside, he'd definitely have like a stand named after him or something like that.
Two other players on the left wing that I'd throw in for an honourable mention as well, who both growing up were favourites of mine. Paul Merson for a long time. He sort of took over from Anders Limpar and had the left wing for quite a long time. But also a player that when I first started supporting Arsenal back in them Liam Brady days I was talking about, my favourite player growing up as a kid, and he was the player that made me cry after a football match, Graham Ricks, number 11. Yeah. I don't know what it was about him. I've always had a thing about left wingers, and I used to love Graham Ricks. But when he missed that penalty in the penalty shootout in Europe, do you remember that? Yeah, Benfica. I cried, man. That was the first time I cried after a football match. So I just throw him out there. Graham Ricks was an honourable mention.
Tony, Danny's giving you a shout out. See, I'd have Perez on the right as he was right-footed, and Sanchez on the left. Both were better than Freddy. And Arsenal had real class players back then. Unlucky to be around at the same time as the Barca team. Otherwise, a European Cup would have been won, surely. Yeah, against Valencia. All right, Mahir, left wing.
I'm going with Pires.
Okay.
I'm going with Pires. Honorable mention, or dishonorable mention, goes to Alexis Sanchez. I mean, it's a pity we couldn't build upon that. I mean, I would have loved him to continue doing what he did and didn't leave the way. I mean, he left for money. It wouldn't have been as mad if he left for Man City. But to leave for that rubbish right there, that one really hurt.
I'm surprised there's quite a few of the guys in the chat box. You don't seem so hot on Freddie.
On Freddie, yeah.
I mean,
he scored a lot.
Freddie would be my second choice, and Alexis would be my third choice, basically.
Yeah, but I think Sanchez being one of our better players in the last 10 years, it's sort of
in the last,
it's putting a lot of people in they're mindful of Alexi and what he did for us.
Correct.
And was Alexis Sanchez better than Lundberg?
I think for me as well, when I'm choosing some of these players, I don't know whether I should be doing it or should not be doing it, but sometimes their personalities tend to creep into my decisions as well. And for someone like Alexis Sanchez, there's no denying that in his prime with us, the guy was a goal machine and could sometimes dictate games by himself. But that part of his personality, where he would probably be sat on his own in the canteen away from everybody else and not wanting to mix and being an individual rather than a team player is what sort of puts me off.
And you know the other
Don't
thing.
Vieira would put him in line. Don't we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Could you imagine Sanchez in our team? He's got Adams in there. He's got Vieira in there to keep him in line. Big Dave in goal.
the other thing as well, Stan and Rohan, is that we're picking an all-time Arsenal 11 that are probably 15 years old, and that's frustrating, right? Because we're not able to put any of our present-day players into that all-time 11. We haven't had players in the last 10 years that have excelled. Maybe Sanchez has been better than Lundberg. You know, that's a
Yeah.
discussion we need to have. Maybe he's been better than Perez.
Well, who
Maybe.
knows? Who knows who's going to pick who for the last two spots? Maybe someone from the current team might get in.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm looking at you, Rohan.
I know that.
Alexi was a winner, and you can't argue with that. Shame was he's here in the wrong era. My guy schooled Messi. Shame he was here in the wrong area. All right, he schooled Messi. He would have thrived in our league winning sides. Yeah. Let's have the discussion. Would Alexis Sanchez have dislodged a Perez or a Lundberg? Would he have gotten?
I think he would have gone above Bloomberg for me for the end product, right? Like he was a dynamic player, and the tenacity that he had, running back, running forward, everything that he had. You know, of course, his attitude was bad, but it was bad in a bad team. In a good team, you don't know how his attitude might have been.
He wanted to win so bad that it was bad for the team. You know.
Yeah.
Alexi made Messi cry in the Copa Americas. Very, very good Chile team, and actually won 2 Copa Americas, right? So his talent for his country didn't go wasted. That's for sure. Same old Arsenal that we didn't sign players to complement his talents, Rohan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember so many debates when Alexis was here that all of these interviews, post-match analysis would go in, and which of the Arsenal current 11 would get into the invincible side, and it was always only Alexis, and everybody agreed at that point that he would get in there. So of course, there's a nostalgia bias. And there's a recency bias, right? We think that players were better than what they were because there's a nostalgia attached to it, or we've recently seen them, and that's why we have that bias. But keeping all of that aside, also, I think Alexis for us was a great player.
Stefan said people could say things about certain players' personalities, but it's what they do on the pitch. Mind you, I met Kenny Dalglish when I was a kid, and I'm not impressed. Kenny always came across that way, right? He wasn't very much of a talker.
I believe the word that they use for Kenny to describe Kenny is dour.
Dour, right. Okay, Rohan, you get to be picking one of the 2 strikers, or a half forward, or what do you call them? The creative midfielder behind the striker.
Should we pick them one at a time, or should we do our striker pairing? What do you reckon?
I think one at a time.
Okay.
To keep the suspense.
All right, let's do the pairing. You're right, Stan. That's better. Do the pairing, Rohan.
I mean, as much as I would love to, Stan knows that. He alluded to it, but he's not going in. But after we're done with this, I'll tell you a way to get him in that I had done. But my pair is going to be, the 2 other statues outside the Emirates. It's got to be Henry and Bergkamp, right? I mean, Henry made me fall in love with Arsenal, glides on that pitch, scores ridiculous goals, one of the best, 2 of the best pieces of commentary that I heard. And I think English Premier League is so popular because of the commentary that goes on. At least I get hooked onto it because of that even more. And one was when he went against Liverpool and he absolutely floored Carragher, and they said sidestepping one, sidestepping two, and then he scored that curler. That was one. And then he came back against Leeds, and they said he may be cast in bronze, but he can still create truly golden moments that epitomizes Henry and what he was. So Henry definitely there, and then Bergkamp for his touch, for his for his overall play. The goals that he scored is ridiculous. He used to tell players that you pass it hard to me, I can take it. He wanted to take up the challenge. Maybe something that was against him was his fear of flying. Again, I don't know. That might have affected us in Europe, negatively affected us in Europe. I think it might have, because he's not traveling with the team, he's traveling with the coach, and so on and so forth. But they're Arsenal legends, and they've got to go in there. But honorable mention to my current favorite player, Aubameyang. If it was not Henry, it would have been Aubameyang.
I mean, it's pretty tough, right? And people in the comments, stick around. I feel like we're going to finish this out pretty quickly and get to the anagrams, and we're going to have some fun with the anagrams. It's going to be Arsenal Legends this century anagrams. There's 10 of them. And Tony is the defending champion from last week. So we'll see what happens this week. And Stan is a new entry. Stan, your pick for your pairing up front.
I'm just going to go with the same as Rohan. Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry. I mean, not only were we blessed to have those two play for Arsenal, we had them playing for Arsenal at the same time. We didn't have not one after the other, one to replace one. We were just blessed. I mean, for me, Dennis Bergkamp was for me the catalyst that changed the way that things were done at Arsenal.
Yeah.
And you have to remember as well that he wasn't brought in under Arsene Wenger. It was more of a David Dean signing, which showed you the way that the club was thinking right at the top. The honourable mention, and it's really hard for me to leave this player out when I think of strikers for Arsenal, is Ian Wright. Ian Wright was just a superb striker, and for me about Ian was, again, that was at a time when we didn't really have a lot of social media or access to players. But when you watched Ian Wright on the pitch and you saw him in interviews and the way he was, you got the feeling that he was one of us. You got the feeling that it could be one of your mates who lived on your street, had that position, who was lucky enough to be playing for Arsenal. That's how it made me feel. I felt close to Ian Wright, even though there was no social media and I only saw him in newspapers and on Match of the Day. So I have to give him an honourable mention. And another honourable mention as well, I think, Robin Van Persie. I thought he was...
Yeah, controversial honourable mention.
But taking away the bitter way he left the club, the man was fantastic. Some of the goals that he scored were just amazing to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Henry was robbed of the Ballon d'Or by a dude called Nedved. I love that comment, and so true. I mean, there was a lot of bias. I think it was biased toward the Spanish league and the continental players, and the English league didn't really get a look in when it came to those kind of competitions. Listen, I'm going to echo everything that was said. Dennis Bergkamp, the catalyst of everything. David Dean and Bruce Rioch for 1 year. They brought Dennis Bergkamp in, and Arsene Wenger, he didn't have a lot to tweak when he came along at first. He had a solid back four, back five. He had Dennis Bergkamp already there. He had strikers, and he just had to complement them with a couple of midfielders, and he did that. Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry. And who would you replace after Ian Wright? But Thierry Henry just kept getting better for those years, So Henry, a converted winger, he played like 10 games his first. He didn't get a goal, but that just shows we need to be patient with these players. So Henry and Henry, our record goal scorer, and Dennis Bergkamp, our mercurial Dutchman. Yeah, it was a problem. It was a shame that he wasn't able to fly as much for away European games, but we definitely got everything out of him. Matt here.
My pick would have to be Theo Walcott.
Yes.
The great number
Yeah, the
14.
best of all time, guys. The best of all time. I mean, really, what
Right, you
couldn't
have
he
me
do?
say all of that stuff, and then you follow it with Theo Walcott. Okay. All right.
Am I the only one here that's waiting for a punchline?
Yeah.
No, I'm going with Stan's. I'm going with exactly what Stan and Rowan have echoed. I'm basically echoing Stan. Bergkamp, Henry, and a honorable mention would have to be Ian Wright. Like, I think those three players for me were the epitome of Arsenal.
And
What Arsenal is
give
through and through.
Alan Smith a little bit of love as well, going back a little bit further. Very, very
Yeah, of course. Of course, if you go back,
very
a little bit more.
player.
Who was that?
Huh?
Who did you say there? Sorry, I didn't
Alan
hear you.
Smith.
Right. Oh, Alan Smith. Yeah.
Alan Smith.
Yeah.
Roger.
Yeah.
Very good for 3 or 4 seasons. Tony, you get the last word.
Well, considering I line us up in a 4-4-1-1, and pretty much tells you who I have up front.
Very good. Are we going with a manager, Stan? Did you want to delve a little further?
Yeah, I think we should pick a manager, and I'm going to go with. I never gave this a lot of thought.
Sanogo is the GOAT. Don't forget that. Sanogo is the GOAT. Yeah,
Oh, and Bintner. Oh, we forgot about Bintner, guys.
Lord Bentner. He can be the GOAT.
Wow.
It's picking a manager is a hard one.
No, it's not.
For me, it is because there's some good and bad. I've got three in my mind, and I'm thinking of Herbert Chapman, because you 13 league titles, right? That's a big record. That's a lot. 13 league title, I believe Herbert Chapman got. Wenger, but the last 10 years was so disappointing. It really taints his legacy for me. And then George Graham.
He did everything in 12 years.
And then George Graham, who I really like, but the way that he left the club also leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Yeah. So it would have to be one of those three, and I'd probably have to go with Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I'll go with Arsene Wenger. Great shout to Herbert Chapman. Revolutionized the game in the 30s. You know, I really enjoyed it. If you have a chance to watch the Netflix, the English game, we've been talking about it over the last few weeks. It was really, really enjoyable. I enjoyed it, 8 out of 10. But George Graham, a great disciplinarian. But for me, Arsene Wenger. And I was just thinking the other day, when I started supporting Arsenal, they had only won. I know the FA Cup is not the be-all and end-all of everything, but Arsenal only won 6 FA Cups, 6 or 7. Up to date now, they've won 13. So, since I've been supporting Arsenal, we've won the FA Cup about 7 times. So, that's pretty big. Yeah, we want to win league titles and all that, but for me, not George Graham, Arsene Wenger, he's got to be the manager for what he did in those 12 years. Frustrated the hell out of me for the last 10 years, but it was definitely a good ride. And, if you said to yourself over 22 years you would have all of this success, I probably would have taken that, Am I here? Tony?
Wenger.
Am I here? Your vote on the coach.
Good evening. The best.
All right, he's already in anagram mode, so let's just go to that. Rohan, did you get your vote?
Wenger.
No, I didn't. But you know who my vote is going for.
We know your vote for.
I'll defend him to the hills. Like he's a great manager on the pitch, off the pitch. He's a great he's a great ambassador for the club. We've grown many fold under him. Like I said, there's too much blame that's been put on him. Fabregas has come out and said that he didn't have as much power as people think that he did. So, all in all, he has revolutionized Arsenal. He has taken us to the next level. Visionary, put his own career in the back burner when he was required by other teams, and he sacrificed everything. I mean, one Arsene Wenger.
All right, Stan, does it tick for tape look good to you? It's David Seaman, Lee Dixon, Tony Adams, Sol Campbell, Ashley Cole, Lundberg, Vieira, Brady, Perez, Bergkamp, Henry. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I predicted everything correctly.
Good job. All of them.
All of them, yeah.
So a couple of things that I want to say right here. One is that I knew that, so this bias, a lot of it exists because a lot of these players were from our Invincibles era, right? If you look at this team. So what I had done was I had created a starting 11 of players from different nationalities. So using only one from each nationality. So no Henry in this one. So I'll leave it in the comments there, and then people can sort of add on to that. That would have been great. And one more question that I have is that if Aubameyang played as many games or as many seasons as Henry, do you think he would beat Henry's record?
Yeah.
I think so.
I know. I'll get a calculator and scientifically extrapolate.
He would probably beat Henry's record, but he just wouldn't look as good doing it.
I believe
like that.
I mean, there would be different types of goals, right? He's a different player that way. Lundberg's just happy Fabregas and the Snakes didn't get a look at. I know what you said, and I know what you said about Van Persie scoring all those great goals, but I can't get past. First of all, Rohan being sold to United should never have happened.
Yeah,
that's a negative for me. And then having to listen to him and his inner Manchester United child talking.
Exactly. Daggers.
So that brings an end. Everyone, get your pen and paper ready. We're going to do, and people in the comment section, play along. We're going to do the Arsenal Legends Anagram quiz. When you have written your answer on your notepad, you put your pen up in the air. People in the comments, help me determine who will be first, second, third, and fourth. 10 points for first, 8 points for second, 6 points for third, 4 points for fourth. Okay? Everybody ready? It's going to be Arsenal Legends Anagram. There's 10 of them. And we're going to see, just for the crack and just for the fun, as I always say, who's going to be. So Bertie Mee was the manager in 71, right, Stan?
I don't know. I was like 3 years old.
I do like that answer. Okay, here we go. Anagram section. Your first clue. People in the comment section, play along.
Oh.
You have to write it down first. Put your pen up in the air. Mahir is first. Don't show your answer yet, Mahir. Stan second.
You have to write it down as well, though.
You write it down, yeah, and then put your pen up. And the honor system is not to look in the comment section.
All right.
My hands are up, guys. I'm holding my phone with one hand. And the other one got
Danny's better. Danny was probably faster than all of you. That's fine, Danny. You're playing along as well.
Cheers, Danny.
Not here. Oh, Tony's third. Okay. Rohan, you're okay. Rohan, you're going to be fourth. Not here. Let's see.
No. I'm still thinking.
I know, but the other three.
Oh, okay. They answered already.
Jose Reyes. Let's see yours. Stan. Jose Reyes. Okay. 10 from here. Stan gets 8. Tony gets 6. And Rohan gets 4.
Okay.
Nice one, Danny. Give yourself 10 points, Danny. No, you can certainly do them, Danny. It's just for a bit of crack, as we say in Ireland, with decent general knowledge. Okay, very good. Play along. Here's number 2. Second one is now. Write it down. Hands up once you finish writing. Stand first. Rohan second. Oh, he's the first. Rohan second. Tony third. And Mahir's fourth. Okay, Stan. Jens Lehmann. Rohan. Jens Lehmann. And okay, everyone had that?
Yeah.
All right, let's do a quick recap. Let's see what's going on in the comments. Jens Lehmann, big up Sunbright Camp. And Danny got it right as well. Okay.
Damn it.
I'm knackered when he does.
Yeah.
They're legends, Danny. He might not.
It doesn't have vowels in his name, does he? There's no vowels in there. It's just all consonants.
Yeah. Quick score recap. Stan's on 18 points. Mahir's on 14. Tony's on 12, and Rohan's on 12. Still plenty of time for catching up. The third clue. I hope you're enjoying this, everybody, in the comments as well. We've had to come up with inventive ways. Ready? 3, 2, 1. They're all simple.
Someone's writing it down already. I think someone's scribbling.
Rohan's got it.
I'm still reading it.
Mahir's second. He's third or fourth. Tony, you got it?
Yeah.
Tony, you're consistently with the 6.
Stan, you got it.
I have now.
All right, Rohan gets the first place. Answer is Robert Perez. Mahir? Bobby Perez. Everybody got it? Okay, good. Let's see what happened in the comments.
You got that right.
Bobby Perez.
As soon as it came up, someone was scribbling it down already. I was like, I'm still reading it.
I think Lombard Town's pretty good at this.
We're trying to get a one-up on each other on the fastest writer.
Good shout, but it's not him.
Quick score recap. 22 points for Stan, 22 points for Mahir, 18 points for Tony, and 22 points for Rohan. 3 on 22 and 1 on 18. Pretty good. It's nice and tight. Are you ready? Pens ready. Number 4. It's coming right up. I'm going to be watching in the comments too. There it is. Rohan, Stan. Oh, Tony second. Rohan, Tony, Stan. Tell me if I was right there. Rohan, Tony, Stan. Mahir, third, fourth. All right, Rohan. Enter.
Cool.
Colo Toure. Tony. Colo. Everybody
Damn
got
it.
it? Okay.
Loco
Story
out there. Damn
Huh?
you, Loco out there.
Loco out. It's a little bit easier than last week, right? Because they're legends. Okay. There's not that many to choose from. Okay, Mahir, you are on 26 points.
So is it only legends then?
Yeah, legends.
So we're not going to see Glenn Helder sneaking in there.
No. And it's this century. I remember Glenn Helder. 26 points, Mahir. 28 points, Dan. 26 points, Tony. And 32 from Rohan. 32 for Rohan. He's in the lead.
Wow.
Remember
the one
you
guy
did
above me and the one.
Right.
Stan,
This is the time.
Stan, come on, Stan. Come on, Tony.
Rohan, I'm not going to get in your head, but this happened last week.
Exactly. I remember it.
Just stay
This
cool. Just
cancel
stay
it.
cool. That's all.
Last week, Rohan had a great first half, but the second half was terrible. And Tony kept flying into your head.
Sounds like life under Unai Emery.
Good evening.
So, Rohan, you've had 2 wins, 1 second, 1 fourth. Tony, you've had 1 second and 3/3. Stan, you've had 1 win, 1 second, 1/3, and 1/4. Stan, you're all over the place. But
Sounds about right.
Mahir, you've had 1 win, 1 second, and 2 fourths. All right, here we go. Number 5 is right now.
Oh,
It's all about writing it down.
come on. Give me the pin.
Tony, Stan, Mahir, Rohan.
Oh, yes, in the clutch.
Tony, Stan, Mahir, Rohan.
Oh, fuck, man.
You have to check the spelling for this one.
Check the spelling. Look outer sounds like something off Marvel. Patrick Vieira, nice one, Lumbercamp. Patrick Vieira.
Mine says Patrick.
Stan, I'm gonna have to take you a point off.
Really? Really?
Okay, Rohan, you check out. Tony, your spelling.
I had it right.
I've spelt it right. I've just scribbled it really quickly. It looks more like his autograph.
Rohan, do you want to put an injection in, Rohan, or do we keep things as they are with the
We
handwriting?
keep things as they. No, that's fine.
There is a P. Patrick Vieira. Okay, score recap. Rohan, you came fourth there. That's going to bring you down a little bit. 36 points. Rohan, 36. Tony, 18, 26. 36 points as well. 36. Stan, 18, 22, 28. 36 points, Stan.
Ooh.
3 on 36
Whoa.
points. Mahir, 18, 22, 26. 32. It's pretty close.
So we got 36, 36, and 32.
Yeah, you're 32 and the other 3 are in 36.
Woo! This one is going
So
tight
just
to the wire.
one thing here, which reminds me when I saw Patrick Vieira here, was that what we did not do was pick the captain for our 11. And it
Correct.
was obviously going to be between Vieira and Adams. We can think about it. We can maybe talk about it at the end of it.
Whoever wins this will get to pick the captain. So
Correct.
Tony could pick Perez on the right wing. Right, Tony?
Yep.
Here we go. Ready? Number 6. We're into the second half now. It's time for Tony to excel. 3, 2, 1.
Double Y.
Ooh! Mahir, you got there first, I think. Mahir, Rohan. That's okay. You're going to be in the lead, Rohan. Between Tony and Stan now. Stan is 3rd place. Tony's 4. Theory Henry. Lumber Camp is pretty good at this. Nice one, Lumber Camp. Theory Henry is the answer. Okay. Rohan, although you came second, very, very close. It was very, very close. You came second, but Mahir's on 42 with that win. Stan is on 42. Tony is on 40. And Rohan is on 44. You're in the lead, Rohan.
Everybody got the Thierry with the double R.
What?
Everybody got the Thierry with the double R.
It's a double R, right? Are you saying some salad is up there?
Yeah. Thierry.
Is that you? Who's that? All right. Still a close game. There's 4 points between the 4 of you. Nice one, Lombard Camp. You're doing great. If you ever want to come on the podcast, let me know. Here's number 7. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Stands first. Stands in first place. Tony, you got this. You got it, Rohan? You got it, pan up? The loser's getting kicked out for Lombard Camp in the next show.
Added incentive.
As an incentive. It's Lombard Camp's getting promoted next show. Who's second? You have it, Rohan, right?
Me.
Yeah. All right, Tony, 3rd place. Mahir, tell me you haven't gotten it.
Mm-mm.
All right, he's an African player.
Got massive feet.
Nah,
He's
I
a
still
striker.
don't have it.
He's a striker. He's Nigerian.
It's the first name that is obviously the
Difficult.
trick. Hat-trick hero.
I'll have to take 4th, yeah. Bergwing's coming for me, pissed. Yeah, guys, I'm just your co-host next week.
No,
Making it easy.
We do have 6 slots, so somebody could be right about, where am I? There. Somebody could slot in right about there. It would make it more chaotic than usual. Tony, have you got this? Oh my God. Should I give them the surname? They have to write in the first name. Kanu. Write in the first name. It's Kanu.
Oh my! What?
I'm not. Did he make it into the century stand, Kanu?
Yeah.
Okay.
What,
He
did
did.
he play for Arsenal in the last?
You guys gave me all the clues. I'm just looking at it and I was like,
Hang on.
what?
Are you
Right up
asking me
until what? 2002?
Are you asking me if he made it in? Can he play for Arsenal in the last 100 years? Yeah, I'd say so.
No. Did he play? For Arsenal
You said the last century.
in this century?
You mean the last decade? Check here.
Right here,
Guys, you know what I look. My hands up now, but look, you know what I'm thinking of? I was looking at Unak. I was thinking like, is it like Unak Emery or something? You know?
All right. Here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I
I'm going to
couldn't figure it out.
give
Oh,
both
that
of
was great.
you 5 points. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Oh, my goodness, that one was mad.
Give you both 5 points. Mahir, 47 points. Stan, 52. Tony, 45. Rohan, 52. Interesting. It looks like Stan and Rohan for the victory, unless Tony. Remember last week you had the last three. You sweep the last three, I think. Right?
Yep.
No, the last one I depended on Mahir to get the right answer, to get it as second, and he came in third.
Ah,
He was intense.
the worst.
Unak Cameroon. Unak, oh my God, I'm dying. Listen, it's tough times for everyone. I hope everyone's safe out there, but I also hope we're having a little bit of fun here. Here comes number 8. 3, 2, 1. Tony's first. Mahir's second. Rohan's third. Stan's fourth. Who was first? Tony?
Yep.
And 8 for Mahir. Rohan was third. Stan was fourth. Okay. That's going to make it very, very tight. Because of the 5 points, you're going to go into odd numbers now. 55 points for Mahir. 56 points for Stan. 55 for Tony for the win. Well, he's going to do it. Rohan, 58 points, Rohan.
It's Tony time.
Going on?
Tony's coming up. It's Tina Turner time. Dennis Burkham, nice one, Ryan. Welcome in, Ryan. We're going to play the last 2 anagrams to finish this up. Nice one, Lombard Camp. He's pretty consistent, man, here. Lombard Camp's coming after you.
Yeah, what a killer. Killer on my tail, man.
Yeah, this anagrams, we did this last week or the last 2 weeks, and we really enjoyed it. So we're going to keep doing it. Even when football comes back, we're going to throw this in. Okay, second to last one. It's getting tight. Quick recap again. Rohan's in the lead with 58 points. Stan is on 56. The other 2 downstairs are 1 point behind Stan on 55. It's anybody's, literally anybody's.
Anybody's game.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Mahir, Tony, Stan, Rohan. Mahir, are you writing them down?
Yeah, I am writing them down. It's done, bro.
You have to write them down. Are you writing them down after putting your pen up?
Who? Who?
Stewart's inquiry. 65 points for the co-host. 62 for Stan. 63 for Tony. And Rohan is on 62. Wow. Mahir's in the lead, controversially, I think.
Mahir's in the lead. How did that happen? Miles behind.
Your horse was dying, and he came with wind in his sails. Thomas Rosinski, nice one. Ryan and Lumbercamp. I'm seeing consistency in the comments here. All right.
We would love to have some of our subscribers joining us also, even if they can just join us for the Anagram Challenge live. I mean, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. The last one is very short, so you should be able to write them down very quickly. 3, 2, 1. Stan and Tony. Stan first, Tony second, Rohan third. Mahir fourth. Stan, Tony gets 8. Rohan gets 6. And Mahir gets 4.
Look at my handwriting at the end of it. The pressure.
Tony Adams, yeah. You almost have to do it without looking.
can't
You have
even
to do it almost.
Look at that.
Check out, I wrote Tony Adams. My Adams came out like, yo, a bit mad.
Mine looks like I've been writing with a broken wrist.
Ryan knew that. For sure. Mr. Arsenal. Nice one, guys, in the comments. Nice one. All right, I'm going to tally it up. See where we're at. Okay. Mahir, you got hurt there, and that coming last. 69 points for you. Stan gets 72. Tony gets 71. Ooh.
Oh.
And 68 for Rohan.
Oh.
Dan, you're the winner.
Yay!
What?
So who's our captain?
Tony Adams.
Tony Adams is the captain.
The last man on the list. How fitting.
Tony Adams.
That is
yeah,
so
that was
fitting.
nice one, Stan. You came
It was
pretty
next time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was neck and neck.
Yeah. I'm still not sure about round 9 though, because Mahir was like nowhere, and he got one right in round 9, and all of a sudden his co-host, like, his other co-host is like, Mahir's winning. I'm like,
Nothing. I don't know, guys.
Ryan, I'm gonna. If you're still watching, Ryan, I'm gonna show you the first few and see if you, while we're talking, if you can catch them, get them. Yeah, but nice one, Stan. Tony and Rohan, valiant effort. The defending champion.
Again, I dropped it in the second half.
1 half FC, Rohan. Story of our lives, man. We've lived it many a season already.
True Arsenal supporter. So yeah, nice one, Stan. All right, you get to we'll put you up on Twitter.
oh, cheers. Thanks.
If you want that, if that's okay.
I bet everyone will love that.
Huh?
I said, I bet everyone will love that.
Yeah.
Arsenal Anagram. Scroll on.
Let me see. Let me do this.
This week.
Now that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, how many points were you behind?
1.
1
All
point.
right, your time will come. Your time will come, Ryan.
So I don't know about you guys, but for the last 1 hour and 47 minutes, I've not thought about the lockdown. So
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Cheers
well,
to you
until
guys.
I just said it, so sorry.
I mean, that's what this is about. It's about forgetting about things for a little bit, because we all know what's out there. We all have to be careful, right? Everybody continue to stay safe, and come back next week for the Anagram challenge.
Yeah.
All right, Stan. Here we go. You ready? Let's see your butchers.
The face of a winner.
You happy with that?
Suppose that would do.
Guys, good times. Good times.
Anything else will require plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take care, Lombard Camp. Be safe out there.
Yeah, thank you,
Take care of
everyone.
your loved ones.
Thanks for coming in, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Mhm.
Big up to you all.
Stefan follows Tony online. Yeah, I'm following Tony. My hair is gone. He does this every week.
He nipped up quick, doesn't he?
Yeah, he nips off quick. Yeah, he might have a bird on the line or something. Who knows? A little birdie. All right. Listen, we'll close it out. Thanks for joining us, Stan. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
First time on, first time win. If you do it again, you won't win again. You know that, right?
Well,
Tony. Huh?
Can you kill me?
Tony, thanks for joining us.
Have a good one.
You came with a wet sail there toward the end, but just not enough gas.
Yeah, canoe killed me.
Canoe killed you. Yeah, that was a tough one. I knew Burkamp and Adams and people like that would be pretty easy. So Rohan, you'll get next week you'll get it, right?
I've got to get the whole season in.
Are you gonna win next week?
I'll get the whole season in, not just one half.
Right. Yeah, I got you. Okay. We'll have to come up with something, maybe English Premier League grounds or something like that.
yeah.
Next week, okay?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
do your swatting up on that. And, take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This was a very enjoyable episode of. We talked about how the clubs would pay for the staff. Our English Premier League, our all-time 11. Rohan's going to put something in the comment section as well, and anagrams. I hope you enjoyed it. So we're out of here. Until next time, everyone stay safe. Come on, you Gooners, up the Arsenal.
Night night.
Take care.
Night.